Alright everyone, time for the penultimate video of today, The Conscience of the King. Let's do this. On Stardate 217.6, the Federation starship USS Enterprise has been called to Planet Q by Dr. Thomas Layden, a research scientist and friend of Captain Kirk. Dr. Layden had claimed to have discovered a new synthetic food source. As a result, the Enterprise diverts from a scheduled course to come to the planet. Neato! Upon arriving, however, Kirk discovers that the synthetic food discovery claim was just a ruse employed by Dr. Layden to bring Kirk to Planet Q. Layden reveals to Kirk that his true motivation is to have Kirk confirm Layden's suspicions that Anton Caridian, the leader of a Shakespearean acting troupe currently on the planet, is in fact Kodos the Executioner, the former governor of the Earth colony Tarsus IV, who was responsible for the massacre of over 4,000 people, including members of both Kirk's and Layden's families 20 years earlier. Dun dun dun! At first, Kirk is unwilling to believe Dr. Layden's accusations. He states he is satisfied with the official version of history that Kodos died in the aftermath of a battle between his loyalists and relief forces from Earth, and that a burnt body discovered in the wreckage was that of Kodos. He begins to doubt those convictions, however, when Dr. Layden is found dead the next day under mysterious circumstances. Kirk contacts another friend of his, the captain of the transport ship that is to pick up the acting troupe, and convinces him to skip his stop at Planet Q, effectively stranding the troupe. He then maneuvers Caridian's daughter, Lenore, into bargaining for transport on the Enterprise in return for a special performance for the crew. Kirk's actions arouse First Officer Spock's suspicions, as it is against regulations for starships to transport civilian passengers, and as the troupe's destination, Benicia colony, is many light years off their scheduled course. After doing some investigation on the ship's computer, he discovers that former Governor Kodos had ordered the executions of more than half of Tarsus IV's population after the food supply was all but destroyed by a fungus. He also uncovers evidence that Kodos applied his own personal theories of eugenics when he chose who lived and died. Furthermore, the vital resupply ships that could have saved the whole colony arrived much sooner than Kodos had anticipated, and rendered all the executions unnecessary. The computer research also reveals that there are no records of Caridian's existence prior to Kodos' death, that there were 9 known people left after the massacres who could identify Kodos, were he still alive, that in the intervening years, 7 of these had died, all under mysterious circumstances, that in each case of the deaths of the former witnesses, Caridian's acting troupe has been somewhere nearby, and the final surviving 2 witnesses, Captain Kirk and Lieutenant Kevin Riley, are both on board the Enterprise. Spock and Chief Medical Officer Leonard McCoy confront Captain Kirk with Spock's evidence, and Spock's concern that assassination attempts will be made on Lieutenant Riley and Captain Kirk. Kirk confesses that he is unsure if Caridian is Kodos, and he is unwilling to make such an accusation without proof. A further complicating factor is that Kirk has started falling in love with Lenore. However, after Riley is poisoned and left in a coma, and the ship is almost damaged by an overloading phaser left in Kirk's quarters, Kirk decides to confront Caridian by having him read the sentence Kodos pronounced before each execution so that he can compare Caridian's voice print with that of Kodos stored in the computer. Even after he obtains a near match, however, Kirk is still unwilling to make such a damning accusation. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Riley, recovering sickbay, overhears Dr. McCoy's log entry and learns that Caridian is suspected of being Kodos, the man responsible for killing Riley's family. Riley sneaks off sickbay and steals the phaser, clearly bent on revenge. He heads for the ship's theater where the Caridian troupe has begun their performance of Hamlet. Riley sneaks backstage, phaser in hand, to exact his revenge on Caridian. Kirk discovers him before he can act and persuades him to surrender the weapon. Their conversations are heard by Caridian. Caridian, who for nearly 20 years has tried to forget his past and shield Lenore from it, learns to his horror that his adoring daughter has, by her own admission, been on a crazy crusade to protect him by assassinating the witnesses. She plans to eliminate the last 2 witnesses, Kirk and Riley, at the conclusion of the performance. Lenore then snatches a phaser from a nearby security guard and takes aim at Kirk. Desperate to prevent any more bloodshed in his name, Caridian/Kodos jumps into the line of fire as Lenore tries to shoot Kirk. Kodos takes the shot, dying. Lenore breaks down and goes to a mental hospital, hallucinating that her father is still alive. Damn, pretty pretty hard stuff, huh? Well, enjoyable plot, and with some connections to Shakespeare, I give The Conscience of the King 4 warp cores out of 5. Well, there's only one more episode to review today, Balance of Terror, which introduces a certain alien race we'll be seeing again in the future. So, until then, live long and prosper, everybody.